You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Okay, Aaron, hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for being on. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if any of it is interesting, but there's a lot of years there that we could probably cover. But maybe this is an interesting tidbit. I retired at age 27. It was a long time ago. Started as a very poor kid in Nashville, Tennessee, which I'm a native of now. We've owned 14 businesses over the course of 41 years, and I'm having a better time today helping people understand going from success to significance more so than anything that I've ever accomplished in my career. So
when you say we, who's owned the 14 businesses?
Well, when I say we, I always refer to we because we're a team. You can't do this alone, right? Yep. No one has been successful on their own. And so I've owned the companies. I've had partners in several of them. Awesome. This particular company I don't, but we have a team, and our team is what makes us successful.
Awesome. So tell me what your current company does and what does it bring, what kind of value does it bring to the marketplace?
Yeah, we have a parent company called View from the Top, and people ask me all the time, why did you name it that? I said, nobody wants a view from the bottom, right? We all want a view from the top, and we help you identify what that is exactly. Out of that, I started doing one-on-one coaching. A good friend of mine, Dave Ramsey and Dan Miller, years ago encouraged me to start coaching. We've been in Mastermind together for decades, and when I retired 8 years ago, they said, you need to start coaching. And I said, I'm not going to coach, man. I'm through. I've been working since I was 13. I'm tired. I'm 50 years old. I'm ready to retire. And Dan Miller said, that's the most selfish thing you've ever said, man. He said, you need to take your skills and you need to teach and train and coach other people. So I did. Started doing podcast interviews, and my business just literally blew up, and I couldn't handle all the one-on-one coaching clients. So I started a mastermind. And some people know and some people don't know what a mastermind is. But we started a mastermind, and I kept doing podcast interviews, promoting. I wrote a book. And today we host 15 mastermind groups. We have representatives in 8 different countries. And I help ordinary people become extraordinary in all they do. And we focus our efforts and energy on that. Since then, we've written the Mastermind Playbook, where I'm teaching and training other entrepreneurs, coaches, podcast hosts, thought leaders, how to start their own mastermind and then start them, grow them, and scale them like we've done.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're helping people to be able to find out their skill set and also, more importantly, get that skill set out there to teach others.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about View from the Top. Where did View from the Top come from?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, it was something that I didn't want to do, and being encouraged by mastermind members to pursue that, I'm a Christian by faith, so I've started really praying through, what was going to be next for me. 50 years old seemed like old 8 years ago, but today it seems relatively not that old. And I said, I still got another good 20, 25 years, that I could be instrumental in the lives of other people. And so thinking through that, I wanted to transform the lives of people that had focused their effort and energy on being successful financially into an area of significance. And if I could give a little backstory to that, maybe it will help if you have more context. So when I was 18, I started my first business, had a couple of partners, and we did extremely well over the next 9 years. And then when I was 27 years old, a Fortune 500 approached me, made an offer I couldn't refuse, sold out. I thought, well, this is the American dream. I go broker than a convict, at 18 to being able to retire at 27. And then what I discovered over the next 18 months that didn't scratch the itch like I thought it was going to. I was getting in the bed in the middle of the day. My wife woke me up one day and she said, this is not what I signed up for. You've gained 50 pounds in 18 months. You're not fun to be around. You're depressed. You're boring. And I said, I don't have any reason to get up. I don't have any purpose. There's no meaning, right? What am I going to do? So I go back and buy the company I started with when I was 13 years old. We grow it 4 times the size it was over about a 10-year period. By this time, I'm 40 years old. I'm headed to the office. My life couldn't have been any better, Mike. We had the big house, the vacation home, all the stuff. I'm working 3 days a week. My partner's working 3 days a week. I'm like, 2 beautiful daughters, a great wife. Life is like utopia. Until a guy named Enrique was crossing the street in front of me, catching a local bus, and didn't look my way. And unfortunately, I ran over and killed Enrique that day. Wow. And my life come to an immediate screeching halt. And I started really reflecting over my life, thinking, what would my legacy have been had I been killed that day at 40 years old? And here's what it would have been. Poor kid from Nashville, Tennessee, makes enough money to retire at age 27, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it was really an eye-opening experience for me. And so I go home and talk to my wife about it and decide to retire for the second time. And I did, sold the business, couldn't handle the stress. So I started going to counseling, had many consultants and coaches, people helping me to work through this because, Mike, I don't know if you've ever been through a very tragic event in your life, but you don't just get over running over and killing somebody. No. So God gave me the grace that I needed in order to work through this. And one day, 5 years later, Robin woke me up again from a nap, and she said, hey, you got to move on. It's time for you to pick yourself up. We got to move on. You got family depending on you. And I did. And so we went in the construction industry, built a very successful construction company. And I started thinking over the course of that 5-year period when I wasn't doing anything, what do you really want your legacy to be? And what I came up with is I said, I want Mike's life to be better as a result of having interacted with me. Yeah, that's what I want my legacy to be. Not that I had a big house. Now here, don't hear me wrong. I hate it when people with money go, money's not important. I want to go, you liar. Let's take it away from you. Then we'll see how important it is, right? But give it its position that it deserves. Money is a tool, and it's used to do a lot of things. Some of them can be destructive. Some of them can be very helpful. What I have elected to do now is to look outward and focus on other people, helping them achieve their goals and dreams. And as a result of that, Mike, here's what is funny. The natural reciprocity is now people want to be around you. You bring the light, you help, you encourage, you edify. Not only are we more significant today, but we're twice as successful financially. Isn't it ironic how it works that way when we do things in the correct order? So my challenge to your audience today is what would your legacy be if you were to have been that person that unconsciously didn't look the proper way and was run over and killed today? And so it's given me a whole new perspective on life.
That's a great story. And I think sometimes, I mean, all the people that I happen to interview, and you probably see this as well with those that you interview, Aaron, a lot of times it's people's struggles and challenges becomes their message. Right. It really does. And I think that's awesome that you've decided to take that route and understanding that you mentioned something like money is not important. And you're absolutely right. It's funny because people with money say that all the time. But I think sometimes you got to find out how you define what is important. And sometimes a lot of us have to dig down deep and realize what it is. And it takes some traumatic experiences. Hopefully, knock on wood, that's not the case for everyone. But those that do, and you've been able to kind of overcome that objection of your life. And so how do you currently work with others to build, to kind of send your message out? What kind of platform are you focused more on the masterminds right now?
Yeah, so that's what we do each and every day is that I want to touch on one more topic related to this as it relates to resources and finances and things like that. Rabbi Daniel Lapin wrote a great book called Thou Shalt Prosper, and Rabbi Lapin is a friend of mine. We don't run around together, but we're acquaintances. I've interviewed him a number of times and been with him and had some meals, and we've shared some time together. And he talks about money being an instrument, being a tool. People give you notes of appreciation, and they're called money, to do a job well done. And money has the value that we place on it, and we give it too much value sometimes. Money's a good thing. And a lot of people say, I'm not doing it for the money. And I'll always say, well, good, then do it for free. And they're like, well, no, I can't do that. I say, well, then it is about the money.
Yeah.
And money, just because you say that, people feel more noble. They feel like it's the right thing to say. The truth is that a man is deserving of a great wage if he's performed well for you. right? So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I love what money can do for me, Mike. I love to have a nice home and a car. We take trips. We just got off of a 7-day cruise in the Caribbean, and I love doing that. If I didn't make money, I couldn't do that. But at the same time, we just did a thing called Gratitude Day, where we went around and we filled up buggies of toys and items, and we gave it away, and we bought meals for people, and we do things anonymously. You can't do that if you're broke. It's okay to make money. It's a good thing. Just keep it in the right perspective. Back to your question, what do we do today? We have groups of 10 in a mastermind. And every single week we come together and we challenge those folks. And we have an accountability tool that we fill out, and we pay attention to 10 areas for that quarter that we want to pay the most attention to. And a lot of it is professional, about 60% of it. About 30% of it is personal. And the reason that we do that is years ago, when my focus was on making money, I almost lost my family. Yeah. And listen, if you come home with a pocket full of money to a house full of strangers, you still end up a loser. It doesn't matter how much money you made. And so we really focus a lot of our attention on you being a well-rounded person, because we want you to win in every area of your life. And then about 10% is spiritual. A lot of the people in our organization are Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, atheist, agnostic, Christian. We have all different diversities of spirituality. But the important thing is that we talk about it and we find out where you're at. So we do that every single week, twice a year. I bring everybody to Nashville. Back in October, we had 125 people here at the Gaylord Springs. It's a 5-star resort, and yeah, it's a great place. And we mastermind for 2 days. I brought Pete Vargas in, and he spoke. And the April before that, we brought in Mike McAllowitz and Brian Moran, and they spoke. And we had breakout sessions, and we mastermind for 2.5 days. And here's where you really find out who you are in the business world. And we really dive deep into your personal life, into your business, and we really help you overcome the obstacles that you might be confronted with. So it's the life transformational experiences is what really motivates and gets me out of bed each and every day, seeing that happen in all these members' lives.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellevis.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help. Where is a website people can find out more information about your company?
viewfromthetop.com.
Love that. Simple enough. What are you excited about right now, currently within your business?
Well, about 2 years ago, people really started paying attention to what we're doing. You know, nobody pays attention until you start making some ripples. And so they started calling me, a lot of business people, and they said, how are you scaling these masterminds? Like, no one has been able to successfully scale masterminds. And so people started paying me this insane amount of money to coach them individually, to teach them what we do. And it's very systematic. We have all the systems and processes in place. We have a small team. There's about 8 of us now. We have 4 virtual assistants in the Philippines, and then we have local U.S. Admin help as well. And my COO is here locally. And she walked in my office one day and she said, listen, these people are paying you these insane amount of money to coach them. We've already got all the systems and processes in place. Why don't we package this into a playbook? And why don't we create the professional videos? Why don't we lay it out in a format that people can understand clearly and teach people to do exactly what we've been able to do over the past 6 years? So we did. It took our team a year to put this together. So today we have the Mastermind Playbook, and it's got 30 professional videos. There's 90 worksheets and tools that we help you. We give you lead magnets. We give you white labeled products that you can implement right out of the gate. So even if you didn't have any knowledge of how to do that, you could implement this strategy, because we walk you hand in hand over a 12-week period, how to start, grow and scale mastermind groups. Here's what people are really unaware of. They don't realize the revenue model that this can be. And we've taken something from scratch in 6 years into a 7-figure business by scaling mastermind groups. Over half of the groups I don't even facilitate personally. I have facilitators that I do revenue share with that does the groups. We have the framework, the themes, the questions. We formulate everything here, and we've got the framework and the flow mapped out. And so these groups work like clockwork.
Awesome.
We do them virtual. So we have representatives now in 8 different countries. And so we've just built a strategy that allows podcast hosts and coaches and thought leaders and folks like that to have a side business where you invest minimal time. And with 2 groups, Mike, you can make a 6-figure business with just 20 people. And so it's a very effective way to increase your reach and your revenue.
I'm currently doing, and it's funny, you're scratching me where I itch, because I like to try to ask some general, but also some powerful questions. And like we both know, John Lee Dumas was my personal coach. I met him in San Diego. I listened to him for years. Now I'm in Puerto Rico, not because of John, but because obviously the tax purposes out here and implications that we can find a way to make that a win-win for me. And because I was able to do it, right? But the other angle was, just like you, coaching one-on-one, there's some, we can't really scale it. Right.
You're trading your time for money.
Right. Exactly. And trading your time for money is not scalable, but it's great for people, I think, a start or maybe if you really makes you feel good. I think Tony Robbins says that a lot, is that people chase a feeling in life, and other people say that as well. Jim Rohn, of course, that was his mentor, but it's understanding that it makes you feel good, but then you also start getting mentally embedded in their world. You start caring more about their business because you care. As if we all do what we do is because we actually care. And so that does become tough and mentally exhausting, and it can be rough. So I think the mastermind group is something that I've also am starting to also probably start looking into, because it's scalable. It's more, I think I can have a bigger impact on those amount of people, a more amount of people, and probably a shorter amount of time. Plus, like you mentioned, it's not going to take countless hours daily.
Well, Mike, I had 15 one-on-one coaching clients. That's a lot of coaching clients when you're coaching them weekly, right? Yep. And so now my reach is I have 150 mastermind members, and it requires less time than it did coaching one-on-one. And here's the real beauty of it. The myth is that the facilitator has to have all the answers. You don't. See, the truth is that you provide the framework and the flow. You have the systems and the processes, and you leverage the participants in the group and their experience, because the best thing that masterminds offer is perspective.
Yep.
And now you've got 10 people with their perspective rather than one. So it's beneficial for all parties concerned.
And you can impact more people. What's our end goal, right? To be able to send the message out there, to be able to get your message out, and more importantly, help people do that more and more, and get away from, not necessarily traditional education, but just understanding that we can have such a bigger impact on such a larger amount of people. It financially makes sense for those listening that might have a message to send out there. Think about it. Like you can jump on the website, take a 12-week course, and know the ins and outs of a business that can be extremely profitable, and it's going to make you feel really good. And you're going to put the right people in places. You don't got to have all the answers. You're going to put the right people in the places for those specific types of masterminds.
Yeah, the other side of that is that real success comes from the consensus of the multitude. And so you could hire a coach, and I feel like I give good advice because 41 years of experience.
Right, yeah.
But when you have a board of directors, 10 people that are non-biased, that they're your trusted advisors, and the vast majority give you the same information, the truth of the matter is probably going to be successful.
Yeah.
You could trust one coach and his idea, but maybe he didn't have the correct perspective. And so there's just so much more value in having a consistent relationship with 8 or 10 people than there is one, because the perspective is the most valuable tool.
How are you? This is the Business and Life podcast. And I go back to always telling, our listeners and the content out there that in the world of business and life, life always wins, right? And how are you currently, or how have you built the life that you wanted to live?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I got married a year after I got out of high school. My wife was a senior in high school. In December, we got engaged. 2 weeks after she graduated from high school, we got married. So this year we celebrate 40 years of marriage.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And we've had our ups and downs, just like anybody. And we decided to live our life very intentional, very proactive. See, here's the thing, Mike. This is not a trial run. This is all you get. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And so I don't want to leave anything undone. I have a lot of grit and determination and perseverance. I squeeze every drop out of the towel. I don't leave anything on, that's not left on the field. Right. And so a lot of people are passive and they're afraid. And they're like, well, what if I do it and it fails? Well, what if you don't do it? What opportunity are you missing? And I say fear missing an opportunity more than you fear failure. I couldn't lay in bed at night and think, would it have worked? That would kill me.
Yep.
I had rather go for it. My daughters used to come to me. I have two daughters. One's 36, one's 33. But when they were children, they would come to me and they'd say, Dad, I want to go out for the basketball team, but I'm afraid if I do and don't make it, then I will be embarrassed. And I said, well, listen, the failure is in not trying, not in not succeeding.
Yeah.
And so I encourage everyone, go for it. A lot of people are fearful of what people will say. And I tell them the 18, 30, 60 rule. When you're 18, you think everybody's talking about you. When you're 30, you don't care. And when you're 60, you find out they weren't talking about you to begin with.
Yep.
None of us are that important.
Nope.
Listen, people say, they're going to think that I tried this. And here's how it's going to go at the dinner table of your friends. Hey, did you hear Mike did this and it didn't work? No, I didn't. Well, he didn't. Hey, would you pass the mashed potatoes? That's about the extent of the conversation. Yet we allow it to hold us down and we don't go for it. I'm a creator developer. That's why I've owned 14 businesses. Once I get it up and going and it's established, I lose interest.
Yeah.
I love to create and develop. I'm not a maintainer manager. And so I love, I'm a visionary.
Yep.
I'm not into the details. I have detailed people around me. I cast the vision. I can see it. Just like View from the Top. Iron Sharpens Iron Mastermind is going to be an international brand. We're going to have thousands of people in our organization. I can see it just as clear as I can see you on this video today.
Yeah.
And so we've got to have people around us to cheer us on to the next step. See, it's very important who you surround yourself with. I don't have naysayers. I have truth tellers. I have people in me that breathe life into me. I subject myself to their scrutiny because I want to know the truth. I don't want to be blindsided. I want to know what my superpowers are, but I want to know what my kryptonite and Achilles heel is also.
Yeah.
And I have people that I have given them permission to tell me the truth. That way I fix it and I can move on much faster. Isolation is the enemy to excellence. And if you want to live your life to its fullest, you've got to be in community. You've got to surround yourself with trusted advisors.
Out of all your successes and failures, what's the one piece of parting advice? I know it's going to be tough because you've had 40 plus years of successes and failures, probably more failures, which we all get, and that's awesome. But give us something that our listeners, some parting advice that you'd like to give, one piece of parting advice for everyone.
Well, I'm not going to hammer on millennials or Generation Z, but I do want to make a comment that I think is a very important tool to our success. That's a lost art, and that's the human connection. We get so busy behind our screens. We say things through text or email that we wouldn't say in person. At the end of the day, if there was one parting piece of advice that I would give, is to build personal relationships more intentional, faster. And it takes a lot of effort, and a lot of people don't want to exert the energy. But here's the thing, and I say this with the greatest amount of humility, but I've done that over the course of my career. I've been very intentional. My Rolodex is very extensive, and the reason it is because I very intentionally pay attention to the human need, and that is showing great empathy and compassion and care. And when you do those genuinely, the natural reciprocity is people are going to do things for you as well. People want to be around people that care about them, because nobody cares at all what you say if they don't feel like you care about them. Yeah. And so I think the most important advice that I could give you today is to be very intentional about building long-term relationships.
How do entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and anybody listening, how do they choose who to build those relationships with?
Well, I think first and foremost, they need to share the same core values. Because if they don't share the same core values, you don't have a common ground by which you can make decisions.
Right.
And so the other thing is people with a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Never do I surround myself with anyone with a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck says it very well in her book, Mindset. So I choose people that have same core values and a similar mindset, and that's a growth mindset. And people that share those with you can help take you to the next level.
I agree. You got to build your support structure out there, Business and Life Nation. I think when it comes down to understanding, we all have heard, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And that can be income, that can be lifestyle. If you're going out and partying 5 days a week, you're probably hanging out with 4 or 5 people doing that, or you're kind of around that crowd. It's understanding what it takes and those around you that are supportive. I think the support angle is pretty big. When people specifically ask me, those that I know, I kind of like to surround myself. How are things going? That actually care, not just asking those questions, but truly asking questions in detail. And I do the same thing with them. I think that support structure is so important. So that's really great part and advice. Aaron, where can people find you? Currently on your website? Tell us
the best place is viewfromthetop.com. If those that have heard this today are interested in creating their own mastermind,
yes,
I think I would take full advantage of looking into the playbook, and you can find that at themastermindplaybook.com/Aaron, AARON. And if you go there, I can walk you through and teach you how you too can be very successful in growing, leading, and scaling masterminds.
Awesome. So listeners, if you have a message that you'd like to get out there and are anything close to interested in creating a mastermind, definitely go to themastermindplaybook.com and Aaron can help you out with that. Aaron, thanks so much for dropping some knowledge bombs today and sharing your story with us.
Thanks, Mike. I had a good time. See you, buddy.
Thank you. Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.